In 1838, slave-owning cotton planters settled the town of Madison, Florida, and their emerging plantations were dependent on the free labor of thousands of enslaved African Americans. Julia Brown and Robert Lewis were two such captives. However, on March 29, 1865, their son, Abraham Lincoln Lewis, was born free in Madison County, Florida, and named after the president who issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, which declared that all persons held as slaves within the rebellious states are and henceforward shall be free. Today, in Four Freedoms Park in downtown Madison, this memorial, which remembers the multitude of former slaves who once upon a time labored on the plantations of Madison County, Florida. This obelisk was erected in 1996 with money raised by local citizens. Like many formerly enslaved African Americans, the Lewis family eventually migrated from the land of their captivity and headed for greener pastures in a more urban area. For the Lewis family, that meant settling on the east side, also known as the neighborhood of East Jacksonville along the St. Johns River, eventually settling into this house at 903 Jesse Street. This is how the house looked in 1994 before it was demolished 1 year later. A very young Abraham Lincoln Lewis left the Oakland Graded School and took a job at the Dexter Hunter Sawmill, which had a reputation for offering work to black men who were previously enslaved. Mr. Lewis worked there for 22 years, first as a water boy, then as a laborer and mechanic, eventually becoming a foreman and reportedly the highest paid black man at the mill. Now think about that, brothers and sisters. 22 years on the job doing manual labor as what we would now call a blue-collar worker before all the things that eventually made this man famous as a white-collar businessman, property developer, and philanthropist. That's a life lesson right there. Days of preparation are never wasted days, no matter where you are right now or what you are doing right now, so long as you follow your vision and are spiritually on purpose, you are being prepared for something greater. At age 19, Mr. Abraham Lincoln Lewis got married, and at age 23, he became a partner in a black-owned shoe store. In 1901, along with 6 other black men, Mr. Lewis, in his mid-30s, founded the Afro-American Industrial and Benefit Association, which was the forerunner of the Afro-American Life Insurance Company. Mr. Abraham Lincoln Lewis became the president and board chair of the newly named company in 1919. Not long after that, in the early 1920s, with his business firmly established and very profitable, Mr. Lewis set his eyes upon the real estate market and began investing in properties. In 1928, at the age of 63, Mr. Abraham Lincoln Lewis organized and became president of the 50/50 Bottling Company, the first black-owned and operated company of its kind, selling soda water through multiple factories in the state of Florida. When the Wall Street crash of 1929 spiraled the nation into a decade of the Great Depression, marked by massive job losses, plunging people into poverty, decreased corporate and farm profits, and the loss of many homes and businesses, Abraham Lincoln Lewis and the Afro-American Life Insurance Company took advantage of foreclosures and began buying up the land that would one day be developed into American Beach. Coconut fried shrimp, a recipe by Marsha Dean Phelts, on page 133 of the American Beach Cookbook. In a 1-quart mixing bowl, combine 1/2 cups flour, The milk. Baking powder. Curry powder. And salt to make a batter. Place the remaining half-cup flour and the coconut in separate, shallow pans. Dredge the shrimp in flour. Dip in batter and then roll in coconut. Fry in hot oil at 350 degrees until coconut is golden brown. Drain on paper towels before transferring to a warming tray. More than a decade before the American Beach Cookbook, author Marsha Dean Phelts wrote An American Beach for African Americans, also published by the University Press of Florida. The work is hailed as the most detailed study done to date on Abraham Lincoln Lewis and the history of American Beach.